When the WannaCry virus hit companies in at least 150 countries around the world, some called it the beginning of a new era, an era in which hackers have become experts at finding weak spots in our online security. And there was a kind of dawning realization of exactly how vulnerable organizations all over the globe are to cyber criminals. With our lives becoming increasingly connected to the internet, we're likely to see the growth of things like cyber insurance. How do we even start, though, to put a price on our data? And do governments themselves have to start budgeting to protect their populations from cyber extortion? The WannaCry attack targeted Microsoft's Windows operating system using ransomware. It blocked access to computer systems and demanded that victims pay money via the cryptocurrency Bitcoin. The world's biggest software maker was quick to point the finger of blame at the US government. But some experts say that Microsoft is accountable too for the way in which it charges for new versions of its software. Our technology editor Tariq Bazley reports on the global nature of the latest threat.
Many countries were on alert as the working week began, fearing the spread of the computer virus would speed up as millions powered on their Windows computers. In China, a leading security software company reported nearly 30,000 institutions, including government agencies and universities, had been hit. Part of the virus, that which allows it to spread from computer to computer, is believed to have been developed by the US National Security Agency, the NSA. It's thought the code was then later stolen by hackers and leaked sometime later. Last month, Microsoft, the maker of Windows, gave users a security update to prevent computers from becoming infected. Now the company's president has hit out at the NSA and says the attack should be a wake-up call for governments. In an online post, Brad Smith said,
"Repeatedly, exploits in the hands of governments have leaked into the public domain and caused widespread damage. An equivalent scenario with conventional weapons would be the US military having some of its Tomahawk missiles stolen. And this most recent attack represents a completely unintended but disconcerting link between the two most serious forms of cybersecurity threats in the world today: nation-state action and organized criminal action."
Other industry analysts say although the NSA may have created part of the virus's code, other similar code is available and being constantly developed by hackers.
The codes like this can be developed by anyone. Any unethical or cyber criminal could develop that code. And so it's more of a responsibility on the information security community, but us, all of us, people, customers, companies, governments, to work harder on securing technologies that we're depending more and more upon.
The spread of the virus appears to have slowed when a British researcher found a so-called kill switch. Security updates also stopped the virus infecting millions more computers. But many security analysts warn there are always new threats. And while this may have been the largest attack of its kind yet, it's unlikely to be the last.
Joining us now from Brussels, Stijn Vande Casteele, who's the co-founder and CEO of Brussels-based internet security company Sweepatic. Good to have you with us, Stijn. I want to start by exploring who has to take ultimate responsibility here for WannaCry. Is it Microsoft, or is it the end user who has failed to update their software?
Okay, so I think it's easy to blame each other. I think there is a co-responsibility here. Between, on one hand, the end users, so the companies who need a rigid, a good approach in dealing with threats that are impacting their organization, so they need to be ready. And on the other hand, the security vendors who need a close collaboration with those organizations.
WannaCry is a boon for both companies like Microsoft and companies that deal with internet security. Is it slightly immoral, though, the fact that people have to pay to upgrade their Microsoft software to the latest version? Companies like Apple give their latest software upgrades away for free.
It's an interesting question. I think well, the NHS in the UK, they stopped paying Microsoft for those updates on older operating systems of the Microsoft operating system. So there might be a commercial incentive from the vendor there to lure companies in paying for updates, but I think for critical information infrastructure, the debate should be like, if we digitalize more, if more information is going to be put out there, then we need to make sure that privacy and also the confidentiality, integrity and availability of the information is preserved at all times.
Stijn, are we entering a new era for cybercrime, do you think?
Well, first of all, the ransomware campaign from WannaCry that we saw hitting last weekend, that's not new. Ransomware has been around for a few years now, so that's nothing new. The extra that we saw was the self-propagating mechanism, meaning the Windows exploit that was added on top of this ransomware scheme. So it's not something new. It's something that had an impact towards organizations that I would say are not too mature at the moment in their cybersecurity defensive capabilities. So it's something that we have seen now, and there is a lot of media coverage on it. But actually, it's on a day-to-day basis that this battle is ongoing.
As we become more reliant on the so-called Internet of Things, as our homes become more interconnected, more devices in the home are connected to the Internet, is the security situation only going to get worse? Are our homes going to be more vulnerable to attacks like this?
Well, we need to be aware of the fact that we are more and more interconnected with what's out there, with the internet. It's no longer a contained environment like our homes, or more and more interconnected with third parties, parties that provide our televisions, our fridges, our cars even. So we need to be aware of this new ecosystem that is being put in place. And again, we need to apply good practices from a cybersecurity perspective on top of those new ecosystems, rather sooner than later.
And how do you go about putting a price on our data, the data that all of us hold on our machines at home and share with the internet? I mean, do you foresee perhaps the advent of a whole new industry here, cyber insurance?
Yeah, so both organizations and individuals should do the exercise themselves, right? What is important for you? What is your most critical information that you possess? Most organizations should be busy with these type of exercises to understand where does it sit, how do I protect it, and then move from there. And an individual will need to make the same conscious decisions, right? To come to your point on the cyber insurance, I see indeed in the market quite some traction on these new cyber insurance propositions. From an organizational perspective, I think that's where it will land first. It's about managing risks, right? So either they accept the risk, they mitigate the risk to an acceptable level, or they will take an insurance against it. So I think cyber insurance has a bright future ahead.
Stijn, really good to talk to you. Fascinating. Many thanks indeed.
Thanks.